All right, so we're going to open up that same video we had yesterday, worksheet 2.2. Let me go ahead and share that. Share, I say. All right, so we did the discrete histogram yesterday. Let's do the stem and leaf plot. So if I have some data like this, to be honest, this is actually easier to use on a piece of paper than it is on the computer. I'll show you both ways. But let me slide this over so I can see the data there. Okay, so if I'm doing a stem and leaf plot, okay, basically you're going to put a line here. So for example, I'm looking at my data and it goes from 15 to 32. So I'm going to have my 10s, my 20s, and my 30s here, okay? You can think of a stem and leaf plot as a text histogram, okay? So in the book, I think they make you put it in order. I don't care about if it's in order, but so I've got a 24, a 15, then I've got a 26, a 24, a 26, another 26, 30, 31, 31, 25, 23, 22, a 31, and a 32. Okay? So that's how you would make a stem and leaf plot. So if you wanted to do that on the computer, I'll show you how to do that. I'm more likely to ask you this one on paper. The reason why we have stem and leaf plots is because, back in the old days, computers weren't easy to use, and so now we can make graphs. Question?
I'm just kind of confused because you were saying like 22 and you're putting in the ones row?
Well, I'll do it again here. I'll do it. It works the same way. Okay? So I'm going to have my 10s, my 20s, and my 30s. Okay? So the first one, so here's what I'll do. So if you want to click on this thing here, you can do the right border here. So I've got 24, 15, 26, 24, 26, 26, 30, 31, 31, 25, 23, 22, 31, and 32. Not what I drew up there. I must put it in the wrong spot because I was going back and forth. But that's basically how you do it, okay? Now, the other thing that you can do to make it a little bit easier, if you highlight columns F through N, and if you double click in between any one of the columns, you can shrink it so it looks a little closer together. And so you look at this, and on its side, it looks a little bit like a text histogram, probably a little bit right skewed. Your 30s are bigger than your 10s, basically. So, any questions you have on that? Okay. That's a stem and leaf plot. Let's see. And normally, let's do another thing here. This is 2.3, I forgot to mention. What's your stem and leaf plot? I think two of those should be over here or something. I don't know. Anyway, I didn't quite do that right, but did it right on the computer. Let's say, for example, that I wanted to do a line graph. Okay, a line graph is used for time data. Okay? All right, so let's say, for example, I were tracking milk prices. So I've got date, and I've got, or maybe gas prices of whatever it is, okay? Let's say I did January 2018, February 2018, and I'm going to drag this down. We'll do this for last year, okay? And 323, 305, 298, 265, 273, 285, 265, 245, 233, 222, 210, 220, 215, I'll say. I don't know, whatever. I'm just making this up. Okay? So if I asked you what type of graph you should pick, Mitchell, you would say, because I just told you.
Histogram?
No.
Oh.
You didn't hear what I just said?
Oh, I did. Just focus on that.
Okay. So what type of graph should I draw?
Like that.
I'm not giving you any hints.
Line graph.
Okay, line graph. All right, so I'm going to highlight my data here. I'm going to say insert, click a line. I'm just going to be a 2D line graph, okay? Now, I probably would want, whoops. If I highlight this here, notice what happens to my graph. And I put that back, and now it puts dollar signs in there. What kind of prices do you want these to be? Gas prices? Sure, gas prices. Maybe you could add a thing in here, and you could say per gallon. So you know you're not in Europe. And then month. Okay. So that works pretty well. Now, the only other thing that I do want to mention here is on, let's say I were doing years. So 1991, whoops, weird. 1992. I'm going to do the same thing. Okay. In fact, I'm going to copy these prices. Okay. Now, let's do this same graph again, and we're going to see if there's any problems. So let's pick on Carla. Can you help me draw a line graph here?
Sure. So insert.
Insert.
And then on the graph. Sorry, I was like not paying attention. I was like still trying to figure things out.
Okay.
I think that's the one.
That's the line graph. 2D. Now, what did you notice there? Does that graph look correct to you? What do you think happened on that graph? Why did that graph work like the last one?
Years is data.
I took my years as data points. How do I fix that?
You want to
Chase, right?
Yeah.
Put the apostrophe for all the years, okay? Now, what's cool about this is if I put the apostrophe here for 1991 and 1992, you'll notice it switches the justification. And now I can click and drag, and it will count for me. Isn't that nice? Now, do I really want 2 lines on there? No. Let's just do that again. Now that Carla's an expert on drawing graphs, what do I do?
Don't mark it all.
Highlight all the stuff, data.
And then
Insert. Make a line graph. Okay, tutoring session at Carla's house tonight, okay? All right, so we can add in our axis titles. What do you want this to represent? Price of, what do you want this to be? UVU tuition per minute. I don't know. This is year. Now, let's see. I don't know, UVU. I'm just making this up. It's crap. But at any rate, if you were to describe this, Shelby, how would you describe either graph?
The shape or
Yeah.
maybe skew, right?
Okay, so skew only references histograms. We're not going to talk about line graphs in the same way. What's the trend going on here? Yeah, we've got a downward trend. It seems like gas prices are going down over the year. Okay, so don't say that it's skewed. Oh, in the book they talk about an ogive. I've never heard of an ogive except for in this book.
Can you explain to me how to like remove the dates and like
Did you put an apostrophe in front of it? For the year?
that would be excellent.
Yeah, it would be an excellent idea.
I'm so sorry.
Okay? No, you're fine. Cal, I really think I should. All right. Any questions on line graphs? I'll make sure I'm not missing anything on this. Okay. As far as ogives go, you can think of that as like a histogram with a line graph. You will never see that again after this section. All right. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about, so that's the end of 2.3. Let's talk about 2.4. 2.4 is misrepresenting data. Okay. Now, let's say here that I wanted, now you guys are all very ethical people, right? You would never purposely misrepresent something unless you weren't for the Trump administration, right? Okay. One of the things I could do is I could change the scale, and I could change the scale to be like $2 to $3 here, $3.50. Okay. Look at that. Okay. Now that would be a great way to distort it. You could say, oh, wow, prices have dropped drastically, right? Generally, when you're looking at this sort of a thing, you should generally keep your horizontal axis at 0. You could also, I guess, stretch out the vertical axis and make it look really gradual. Okay? And it's creeping down very slowly, whereas this looks like a steep drop. Okay? So generally, as you do that, you should include 0 in your on your horizontal scale there. Another thing to do is to use pictograms. Okay? Now this is a nice thing to do. And for some reason, they like to do this in the, well, maybe I'll just go back to where I had it there. I thought that was gonna just blow it up a little bit. Isn't that cute? Okay. Now, what's the problem with this pictograph? makes it look, well, and I think they did this on purpose. The bikes are bigger than the buses, right? Makes it look like the bikes are way larger than the buses, but the buses probably hold more students, right? Okay, so it's a kind of a great way to, in fact, a great way to distort your data. Okay, if you want to see really bad graphs, USA Today loves to do this kind of thing. The cupcake thing, isn't that cute? Okay, never ever do that in my class. What are some other good ones? Those are the best right there. Oh, apples and bananas. Okay. If you want to make a bad graph, do something like that. Okay. It's very artistic, I'll grant that, but don't ever do that. You can kind of follow along with the book on 2.4. That's pretty easy. All right. So, any questions on misrepresenting data? Okay, you'll never do that. You'll just read that section and go, yeah, I'm never going to do that. Okay? All right. Okay, well, let's move on to 3.1, I guess. All right, let me We're going to talk about the mean, the median, and the mode. Okay? All right, so the mean is what you have typically thought of as average. Okay? Basically, you add them up, and divide by the total number. Okay? We can also talk about the median, which is the middle value. We can also talk about the mode. The mode is the most common value. Okay? So, let's do an example here. I'm just going to open up a blank sheet here. Okay? This is based on a semi-true story. Okay? So the University of North Carolina wanted to know how much salary their geography majors made. Okay? Let's say they have 5 graduates. Okay? 5 graduates. The first one makes $30,000 a year. Second one makes $40,000 a year. Third one makes $35,000 a year. Fourth one makes $30,000 a year. And the fifth one makes $1,600,000 a year. That was a famous person. Who do you know from the University of North Carolina who made a lot of money? Who was a geography major? Famous. He didn't make it in geography, though. get a guess, don't you? No? No guess?
Probably some athlete.
It was an athlete. That's your hint. Michael Jordan. Okay. Did you know Michael Jordan was a geography major? Sure, that helped him out when he was flying all over the NBA, right? Okay. All right. So let's talk about the mean. Okay. Now the mean says what? Tell me your name. He's looking down. There you are.
Josh.
Josh. How would you find the quote unquote average salary as you've learned in all your classes up to now? Okay. So we're going to add them up and divide by, in this case, we got 5 graduates, right? So let me ask you a question. Do you think the average salary of $347,000 is representative of what you as a geography major would make? Probably not. But if I told you that the average salary for University of North Carolina graduates in geography was $347,000, how many of you would change your major today? I would. I'd be like, I'm all over that. I'd like to make that kind of money. Okay. But the problem with the mean, okay, is it's influenced by outliers. Okay? So we got to be a little bit careful about that. Now, another way to do this would be to find the median. Okay? Now, when you're finding the median, you should probably sort your data. And the formula that we're going to use is n plus 1 divided by 2. Okay? So if I sort my data here, I'm going to click here, I'm going to go data, and I'm going to sort it. Okay? Now, how many data pieces do I have? Got 5, right? 5 plus 1 is 6 divided by 2 is 3. So I'm going to count down 1, 2, 3. The median salary is $35,000 a year. Okay? Half of the graduates make less than $35,000. Half of them make more than $35,000. So does that seem like a better representation of what you would make as an average salary than the median? Yeah, it seems like it, right? Okay. Now, the mode is the most common value. What is the most common value here? It's 30,000. Okay. So you could argue, well, 2 out of the 5 make 30,000. That's probably what you can expect, right? Okay. So you could argue that as well. Okay. Now the question is, what happens if we add? I'm going to add a graduate number 6 here, and this one makes $40,000, right? Now, curse Bill Gates, because I don't like to use the word average, because then which is the average? Is it the mean? Is it the median? Is it the mode? Okay. So when you're in my class, please specify mean, median, or mode, although we won't talk about mode after today, probably. Well, tomorrow's quiz. Okay. So, but let's say here, if you wanted to find the mean, you can use the word average, and you can just do that there, and it will figure out the mean for you. Okay. So now the mean has dropped to just under $300,000, $295,000. I'm still changing my major if I could make that kind of money. Okay. The median now. Okay. Let's do the median. N plus 1 divided by 2. So I've got 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. 7 divided by 2. 3.5. Tell me your name. Eric, can you count to 3.5? No. But what you're going to do is you're going to go 1, 2, 3.5. It's going to be in between those two values. Okay, you're going to take the mean of those two values, which I bet you could do in your head though, right? 37,500. Okay, so what we're going to say this time is half of them make more than 37,500, half of them make less than 37,500. In this case, nobody actually makes 37,500, unlike the last one, okay? So you're just going to take the mean of the two middle values, which in this case is these two values here, okay? What is the mode in this case? Eric, right? What do you think the mode is?
Well, you just said we didn't median, since there's two that have the same amount, you take the average.
No, actually, that's a good guess. In this case, we've got two modes. So I've got a mode of 30,000 and I have a mode of 40,000. Okay. Now, just for fun, I'm going to take out that value and I'm going to take out that value. Okay. What's my mode now? I have no mode. Okay. So you can have no mode, you can have one mode, you can have more than one mode. You can have 3 or 4. Okay? Yes.
So we have no notice, none of them repeat once.
None of them are repeated. That's correct. Okay? So yeah, you can do lots of different things there. Okay? All right. Is there anything else I want to talk about? You guys aren't asking enough questions. I guess I'm getting done too fast. That's good, because tomorrow's lecture we're going to talk about standard deviation, I think. Yes, we are. And it's going to take a long time. So that'll be good. We'll just jump right into that tomorrow. So your quiz tomorrow is going to be 2.3, 2.4, and 3.1. So I guess I'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a good one.